Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Psychology by Viv. Here we shall discuss psychology, its theories, ideologies and various aspects through different perspectives. Let's begin. Before we dive into the history of psychology, we must consider the prehistory that led to its development. The prehistory of psychology comprises of the eras before the 18th century. So in this series we shall discuss various aspects of prehistory of psychology. First of all, let's consider the things that contributed in shaping our understanding of human psyche of the people of the past. The main things include the books, art and beliefs. These shaped those people's minds and their morals, thus playing a role in our understanding of them. We use such references to understand what their concept of human mind and state was. Even though the start can only be attributed to people like Aristotle, Plato or let's say Greeks. Still, psychology existed way before, just in somewhat vague manner, so let's dive into the key contributors to prehistory of psychology. Let's jump into the details first. Is folklore plainly called old stories? They often explain the values of people and give an insight to the people's subconscious and their set standards for morality. These stories allow psychologists a glimpse into the psychological state of mind of people of a particular era. The stories act as a projection into the lives and minds of people and to identify various psyches in each time period. Many psychologists like Freud and Jung have used commonly known folklores to give inspirations for their theories like Jung's archetypes and universal consciousness. Along with that, Freud used these stories to give explanations to various behaviors.
Folklore also act as symbols. Various psychological aspects have been named after story characters that embodied those traits known as psychomythology, like Oedipus complex. Along with that, urban legends helps psychologists understand cognitive biases, such as the tendency to believe stories that evoke strong emotions. Ancient paintings provide profound insights into psychology by acting as a record of early human cognition, emotional expression, and social behavior, offering a mirror to the soul of humanity. These visual representations, from prehistoric cave art to ancient murals, reveal how early humans navigated their inner worlds, processed trauma, and developed complex symbolic thinking. Prehistoric cave paintings, such as those in Sulawesi and Lascaux, indicate that early humans were capable of symbolic thought, a precursor to complex language. The ability to create images that represent, rather than directly replicate, reality points to advanced brain development. Beyond simple depiction, early art often reveals a rich inner life, including anxieties, fears, and hopes. For instance, Venus figures and cave drawings suggest early concerns with fertility and survival, acting as an emotional outlet for Paleolithic communities. For thousands of years, painting and visual representation were used in rituals to manage anxiety, promote healing, and ward off evil spirits. In the forms of amulets and tokens. Ancient art served as a voice of the silent, allowing people to express emotions that were difficult to verbalize. This provides an insight into what human thought process was like during that period. Art itself is a reflection of the artist, thus acts as both a picture and story. The study of ancient art has helped psychologists understand how specific colors and forms affect human psychology, a field known as chromotherapy or neuroaesthetics. Analyzing ancient paintings of human or animal figures, particularly those depicting pain or joy, helps in studying how humans develop empathy and social connections, thus giving a glimpse into the psyche and thinking of those people. The study of specialized art like mandalas in Hindu Buddhist traditions shows how geometric abstraction and symbolic imagery were used to guide the mind, enhance awareness, and facilitate meditation, thus serving as a form of therapy. The emerging of cave art in Europe around 40,000 BP suggests a potentially earlier development of a symbolic mind, the ability to use signs, images, and metaphors to represent reality. This is central to the formation of human cognitive abilities. Researchers use a cognitive framework to analyze early art, focusing on three key mental abilities: design stance, assuming objects were designed; symbol-mindedness, distinguishing an object from its meaning; and aesthetic sensitivity. Some studies suggest that the cognitive mechanisms required to convert 3D sounds, echoes in caves, into 2D paintings are similar to those used in the development of language, linking art production to the evolution of symbolic language. Art itself shows the motivations of people at that time. The act of creating art in ancient times likely served as a method of emotional regulation or communication, a function that continues to be studied in art therapy today. The effort required to create art in deep, dangerous areas of caves suggests strong intrinsic motivation and the capacity for deep concentration. 40,000 BP suggests a, potentially earlier, development of a symbolic mind, the ability to use signs, images, and metaphors to represent reality. This is central to the formation of human cognitive abilities. Researchers use a cognitive framework to analyze early art, focusing on three key mental abilities: design stance, assuming objects were designed, symbol-mindedness, distinguishing an object from its meaning, and aesthetic sensitivity. Some studies suggest that the cognitive mechanisms required to convert 3D sounds, echoes in caves, into 2D paintings are similar to those used in the development of language, linking art production to the evolution of symbolic language. Art itself shows the motivations of people at that time. The act of creating art in ancient times likely served as a method of emotional regulation or communication, a function that continues to be studied in art therapy today. The effort required to create art in deep, dangerous areas of caves suggests strong intrinsic motivation and the capacity for deep concentration. Control, comfort, and pattern recognition in an uncertain world. While superstitions were once used to explain natural events before modern science, psychology today views them as coping mechanisms, cognitive shortcuts, and, in some cases, symptoms of anxiety or OCD. When faced with high-stress situations like war, gambling, or competitive sports, humans use superstitious rituals to create an illusion of control over uncontrollable outcomes. Ancient people used sacrifices to appease gods. Modern people use actions like knocking on wood to reduce anxiety and calm their nerves, often leading to a placebo effect that boosts confidence. Research shows that good luck superstitions, such as wearing lucky items or performing pre-game rituals, can genuinely improve performance by boosting self-confidence. Superstition often acts as an illusion of control. When individuals face high-stakes situations with uncertain outcomes, such as exams, sports, or risky business decisions, they may resort to rituals, e.g., carrying a lucky charm, to feel more in control of their fate. Athletic rituals. Athletes often repeat actions, e.g., Michael Jordan's shorts, that previously coincided with a win, a phenomenon known as operant conditioning. Safety net. Studies show that activating good luck rituals can actually improve performance by reducing anxiety and boosting self-confidence. Humans are biologically wired to identify patterns, a trait that helped ancestors survive, but this can lead to apophenia, perceiving connections where none exist. Confirmation bias. People tend to remember instances where a superstition worked, e.g., avoiding a black cat and having a good day, while ignoring instances where it did not. Thinking fast and slow. Psychologist Jane Risen suggests that even when people intellectually know a superstition is irrational, slow thinking, they may still act on it, fast thinking, to play it safe. Superstitions serve as psychological tools to manage stress, fear, and uncertainty. Reducing anxiety. Rituals like knocking on wood provide immediate, though temporary, comfort when facing potential misfortune. Placebo effect. Similar to the placebo effect in medicine, believing that a ritual or object like a lucky charm will help can actually improve a person's performance and mental state. Many superstitions are passed down through generations, becoming deeply embedded in cultural, social, and familial traditions. Shared beliefs. Shared superstitions, e.g., avoiding the number 13, can act as social glue, creating a sense of belonging and community. Haint blue paint. The tradition of painting porches, haint blue, to ward off evil spirits is an example of a superstition that has persisted for centuries. While often harmless, extreme reliance on superstitions can have negative psychological effects. Avoidance patterns. Some superstitions can foster fear, anxiety, and self-limiting behaviors. OCD connection. Superstitious behavior sometimes shares a continuum with obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD, where individuals feel compelled to perform rituals to prevent harmful outcomes. Cognitive psychology identifies that superstitions often arise from System 1 thinking, fast, automatic, and intuitive processing, rather than System 2, which is slow and rational. Confirmation bias. People tend to remember the one time their lucky action coincided with a success, while forgetting the hundreds of times it didn't. Apophenia pattern recognition. The brain is evolutionary wired to see patterns to survive. This causes people to link coincidental events and create cause and effect relationships where none exist. Availability heuristic. Vivid or highly emotional stories about bad luck, like breaking a mirror, are easily recalled, making them feel more probable. 2. The illusion of control and stress reduction. Superstitions are more prevalent in situations involving high stakes and low personal control, e.g., sports, gambling, exams. Coping mechanisms. When faced with anxiety or uncertainty, superstitious rituals provide a psychological comfort, reducing anxiety and giving a sense of agency, even if the action has no real-world impact. Placebo effect. Believing a lucky charm works can boost confidence and improve actual performance, which reinforces the belief, a phenomenon noted in studies of athletes and cognitive task performance. Ancient poetry has contributed significantly to psychology by serving as a precursor to emotional regulation techniques, providing case studies for analyzing human consciousness, and establishing foundational concepts for modern therapy. It acts as a science of the self, by exploring the human experience, and its therapeutic use, known as poetry therapy, has roots in ancient practices. Ancient poetry plays a significant, structured role in psychology, particularly in clinical, developmental, and educational settings, by facilitating emotional regulation, fostering self-awareness, and acting as a tool for therapeutic healing. As a form of expression of the heart, ancient poetry has historically been used to manage stress, anxiety, and mental health crises by allowing individuals to externalize complex feelings through metaphorical language. Catharsis and emotional regulation. Ancient poetry often deals with universal, intense themes like grief, love, and loss. Reading or writing this poetry helps individuals process overwhelming emotions, providing a safe distance from personal pain while acknowledging it. Studies have shown that poetry appreciation can reduce symptoms of anxiety, depression, obsession-compulsion, interpersonal sensitivity, and hostility. Poetry allows patients to externalize internal, unspoken turmoil, making abstract, distressing thoughts more concrete and manageable. Poetry works well in conjunction with cognitive therapy by enabling patients to examine their own cognitive projections, how they interpret their world. Thus, ancient poetry provides us with the thoughts of the people, showing that they also used poetry to express their experiences. The odes written by Greeks and their dialogues tend to hint at an understanding of psychology, just like today. Back then, psychology played a vital role in their lives, whether they realized it or not is rather questionable. But poetry gave an insight to their knowledge and thoughts. The study of ancient poems, especially in educational settings, encourages students to move from simple image-based thinking to abstract thinking. Ancient poems are used to improve aesthetic abilities, appreciating beauty, and to promote moral education and positive personality traits like resilience and empathy. In Chinese educational psychology, classical poetry is used to cultivate moral ideals, shaping a well-rounded personality in students. Before widespread literacy, ancient poetry was passed down through oral traditions, utilizing rhythm, meter, and rhyme to aid memorization. Cognitive psychology views these poetic structures as techniques that strengthen neural connections for better recall. Studies in oral poetry, such as ancient epics, highlight how poets used formulaic language and recurring, thematic frames to manage the cognitive load, allowing singers to recite vast amounts of information. Neuroimaging studies show that recited poetry activates specific areas of the brain related to emotion, particularly the right side, similar to music. Ancient poetry frequently addresses intense, high-stakes human experiences: love, death, loss. Research shows that poetry can induce chills, or piloerection goosebumps, which activate the brain's reward circuitry, nucleus accumbens and insula. Aristotle's Poetics argued that poetry evokes a mixture of pleasure and pain, a phenomenon now understood as being moved, which connects to how the brain processes emotional complexity. The structure of a poem, how words are organized into lines, forces the reader to actively structure language, creating poetic effects not found in prose. Poetry often forces the reader to endure a delay in categorization before understanding the full meaning of a metaphor, which trains the brain to hold multiple, often contradictory, meanings at once, increasing cognitive flexibility. Cognitive poetics, pioneered by George Lakoff, argues that metaphors are not just poetic ornaments but fundamental to human thought. Ancient poetry demonstrates how metaphorical thinking shapes human perception and understanding of abstract concepts. Poetry triggers, with high specificity, the mental imagery of scenes, allowing readers to simulate experiences, which engages brain areas involved in empathy and theory of mind. Ancient poetry often served to regulate emotions, disperse mental stress, and manage trauma. Modern cognitive psychology uses this poetry therapy to treat psychological issues by analyzing and reflecting on poetic language. Memorizing and reciting poetry fosters critical thinking, pattern recognition, and focus, essential skills for academic success and cognitive health. Cognitive behavioral techniques (CBT). Scriptures often emphasize the transformation of the mind, e.g., Romans 12:2, to change behavior and emotions, mirroring CBT's focus on modifying dysfunctional thoughts. Mindfulness and meditation. Practices like scripture meditation, e.g., Psalm 1:2, serve as early, faith-based forms of meditation and mindfulness, aimed at reducing stress, improving focus, and achieving emotional regulation. Catharsis and emotional regulation. The Psalms in the Bible provide a model for processing extreme emotions like grief, fear, and anger through expression, similar to emotional regulation techniques used in therapy. Cognitive behavioral techniques (CBT). Scriptures often emphasize the transformation of the mind, e.g., Romans 12:2, to change behavior and emotions, mirroring CBT's focus on modifying dysfunctional thoughts. Mindfulness and meditation. Practices like scripture meditation, e.g., Psalm 1:2, serve as early, faith-based forms of meditation and mindfulness, aimed at reducing stress, improving focus, and achieving emotional regulation. Catharsis and emotional regulation. The Psalms in the Bible provide a model for processing extreme emotions like grief, fear, and anger through expression, similar to emotional regulation techniques used in therapy. Coping mechanisms and mental resilience. Scriptural practices are frequently utilized as coping mechanisms for anxiety, uncertainty, and grief, helping individuals build resilience. Prayer as coping. Prayer functions as a tool to manage anxiety, foster hope, and reduce feelings of helplessness. Finding meaning in suffering. Scriptures, particularly the Bhagavad Gita, assist in reframing suffering, helping individuals find purpose and reducing the fear of death. Forgiveness and mental health. The emphasis on forgiveness in many traditions serves as an emotional process that releases bitterness and reduces stress, a concept now validated by psychological research to improve mental health. Coping mechanisms and mental resilience. Scriptural practices are frequently utilized as coping mechanisms for anxiety, uncertainty, and grief, helping individuals build resilience. Prayer as coping. Prayer functions as a tool to manage anxiety, foster hope, and reduce feelings of helplessness. Finding meaning in suffering. Scriptures, particularly the Bhagavad Gita, assist in reframing suffering, helping individuals find purpose and reducing the fear of death. Forgiveness and mental health. The emphasis on forgiveness in many traditions serves as an emotional process that releases bitterness and reduces stress, a concept now validated by psychological research to improve mental health. Psychological biblical criticism and analysis. A modern academic field known as psychological biblical criticism studies the Bible as a book of the soul, exploring its characters and themes through a psychological lens. Analyzing characters. Biblical figures, such as King David, are analyzed for experiences with anxiety and depression, providing deep, historical case studies for emotional expression. Habits of the soul. Scholars study the texts to understand how human beings have historically managed sickness, healing, and the quest for meaning. Had. Misinterpreting natural phenomena as divine agency, e.g., gods in clouds. MCI. Theory gods are memorable yet understandable, e.g., human-like, but immortal. Teleological bias. Intuitive belief in a purposeful, designed universe creator. Costly signaling rituals and sacrifices as signs of group loyalty and cooperation. Anthropomorphism. Making the supernatural agents relatable and mentally accessible. This, and similar research, bridge the gap between modern and ancient thought, revealing that the religious mindset of the ancient Near East and Mediterranean was rooted in human cognitive architecture. Had. Misinterpreting natural phenomena as divine agency, e.g., gods in clouds. MCI theory gods are memorable yet understandable, e.g., human-like, but immortal. Teleological bias. Intuitive belief in a purposeful, designed universe creator. Costly signaling rituals and sacrifices as signs of group loyalty and cooperation. Anthropomorphism. Making the supernatural agents relatable and mentally accessible. This, and similar research, bridge the gap between